smoothest do-rags in all the land. Los Mix, how you living?
Hey, you already know when you see this Nas fade, it can only be one brother, the good brother, Los Mix. How we doing, my brother, Danny Ocean? As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you, my friend.
Always living the dream. Y'all know the scoop. As usual, we're going to talk about the biggest sports stories of the week. At the end, we'll see how much time we have. I got something on my chest, but it's not as pressing as talking about the triple option and how useless it is. So we'll see what we look like at the end of the day. But for now, we're going to jump in to our first. Oh, first of all, before I forget, this show is brought to you by goingfor2.com. Check out goingfor2.com for all your daily fantasy, any kind of fantasy needs. I think I saw an article the other day about NASCAR. We trying to get you this money more ways than Sunday. Come over here and get paid with the real ones. Now, that was completely off the cuff, but it sounded great. I was ad lib champ 16 years in a row. So this is something that's been. Everyone knows I'm an Eagles fan, so of course I'm going to talk about this trade. So the Eagles finally traded Wentz to the Colts. In exchange for Wentz, the Eagles got a 2021 third-round pick and a 2022 second-round pick that can become a first-round pick if Wentz plays 75% of the snaps or if he plays 70% of the snaps and the Colts make the playoffs. D, who won the trade?
I'm gonna go and say that the Indianapolis Colts went ahead and became a better football team, just simply off the fact that, Carson Wentz, he's had some lows of lows in terms of quarterbacks, but he's also had some highs of some really highs, if you know what I'm saying. So he's had some moments where he's been able to flourish, and maybe just the new scenery, the new settings might do him well in the long run, and he's surrounded by a playoff team that Phillip Rivers was able to take to the postseason and give a game to. So, I think just a myriad of that, you maybe add that in with the Eagles. They're not too maybe sold in on Jalen Hurts, and you don't know how, what direction they're going to go in terms of their franchise. You just got to lean more towards if you think the Colts kind of won this trade with the Eagles knew they had to get it done.
So I want to attack this from 2 points of view. The first point of view is someone who is completely logical and who understands the situation. And then the second point of view is going to be from an upset Eagles fan. So logically speaking, it's amazing that Philadelphia got anything for Carson because he had an awful season. He was statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL. And somehow they got not one, but 2 draft picks, right? Like that's immense value for someone like who played like absolute garbage. And it sounds like the Colts were the only real team to offer anything, right? The Bears are interested. They didn't offer anything. Panthers really didn't care what was going on in Philadelphia. So the Colts are just kind of like bidding against themselves. So the fact that Howie Roseman got not 1, but 2 picks, and one of those picks will probably be a first-round pick, that's impressive. Like he'll get his props on that. Now, as an upset Eagles fan, that man held this team hostage, that man being Howie Wentz, demanding 2 first-round picks, all this posturing, all this dragging us through the mud. And I guarantee you the Colts put this deal out on the table a month ago, and it hasn't changed. I understand that Carson had to leave, right? His time was over in Philadelphia. Like it was unsalvageable, but really kind of pissed off that he put us through that,
But my question is, what other decision did he have? He had to, he knew he had to get the deal done. That's just a toxic environment. You don't want that for a new head coach, especially in that type of town with those type of passionate fans, as we shall say. You don't want to set your coach up for too much failure. And let's just be honest. You consider their cap situation, head coaching situation, QB situation. I mean, they're not the smoothest sailing of all ships. So you definitely want to try to set your head coach up in a way where he's able to flourish a little bit. And so he just knew, you can't just you can't have the man inherit a bad quarterback situation. That quarterback position is a position, as you know, needs to be solidified, needs to be firm. So he had to make a decision. And I think just going forward, he felt more comfortable just based off maybe the back half of the season, maybe more with Jalen Hurts, more so than, Carson Wentz, who's Man, and when he's had some lows, man, he's had some lows, man. And when he's played well, he's played well. So I think this is probably the best deal he had on the table. I think everyone else is probably throwing him some nickels and some dimes. And the Colts came with a couple of microwave steaks, and they said, hey, you know what, we'll take it. So Carson Wentz is now a Indianapolis Colt.
So in the AFC, what do you have? You have the Chiefs, you have the Ravens, you have I'm drawing. You have the Bills. Thank you, and you have the Steelers. If Big Ben comes back, you got the Browns.
And then you have the Titans.
And then you have the
Titans a formidable team with Derrick Henry and company.
Does Carson make that much of a difference? Like, I see them winning in the wild card round and then just leaving. I really don't think, I know, if Carson will never be 2017 Carson, right? Like, I'm not saying he will. I'm not even saying he's going to be top 10. So best case scenario, or the most likely scenario, he's top 15. Does a top 15 quarterback do that much for you if you're the Colts?
I mean, I think in terms of maybe winning now, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to put themselves in the best possible situation in terms of winning now. And I think in their mind said, hey, if you can have Phillip Rivers take you to the playoffs, I think given the history between Frank Reich and Carson Wentz, put them back together, you might be able to maybe plus or minus your wins 1 or 2. That might be the edge you need to host a playoff game, which might be, maybe when we're more near normalcy, maybe be able to get some fans in there. It might make the difference between going out in the conference championship round and going down the wild card round. So I think from that perspective, the Colts had to make a deal. You saw what Matt Stafford went for, a couple of nickel rocks. You see what the Texans are asking for in terms of Deshaun Watson. They're asking for the chickens and the farm. So you see a guy in Carson Wentz, and you're like, here's some quarters. We got you. You take that deal.
Are those snowfall references? I know the new season of Snowfall starts soon, and you've been.
Nah, that's just I couldn't say the trade was a whole dollar, so I had to give them just cents and coins, any coins that came to mind. Because let's be honest, I mean the Eagles, they're going, given the way, look, if you can have Phillip Rivers take you to the postseason, they have Jacoby Brissett already. If they don't get the deal done there, who they obviously trust the offense well, that's still probably 9 or 10 wins, enough to win that division. So I think with or without Carson Wentz, they knew they had a decent quarterback room at best, which is enough to get them to the playoffs. I think if you add Carson Wentz, that's average to, given the right situation, maybe above average quarterback play. I think given the obvious their current draft situation, which is they're not going to be able to take any of the top guys. So then you look at the free agency wise, you see what Matt Stafford went for, and you see what Deshaun's asking for. Basically, the two best free agent quarterbacks right now on the market, unless some other things shake out. You have to take your chances on Carson Wentz. And I think that's, they know they lost the deal, but hey, it was the only deal to be made. If you're the Eagles, and hey, if you're the Colts, if this turns out to be a 12-13 win season for them, then they won this trade by a mile, right?
Yeah, short term, I think it's more the play for the Colts, and the Eagles have kind of admitted that they're in a rebuild. Real quick, shout out to my man G-Man J in the chat, one of the greatest ever.
G-Man J,
dead or alive. So I want to take this back to the Eagles for 1 second. So now they're talking about the Eagles possibly drafting a quarterback at 6. Do you have anything on that before I snap and go off?
I mean, but why? Why did you waste Jalen? What are you going to do with Jalen Hurts? You don't even know what you have. I don't understand it. There are so many other pieces that I think that needs to be addressed on that team for the Eagles. I just don't think that drafting a quarterback at 6?
6 as of now. 6.
I don't think drafting a quarterback at 6 is going to really make the difference. So then why did you acquire these first round draft picks from the Colts that you are going to try to waft in front of someone to make a deal? I don't get it, man.
So let me start off by saying that if any NFL team who doesn't have one of the top 5, if you think a guy in the draft is that guy, then you move heaven and earth to get him. But if the Eagles draft a quarterback at 6, or if they trade up to get one, Howie Roseman needs to be fired before the first round ends, because you're telling me last year in the second round, Jeremy Chin was on the board, and we needed a safety. And he said, "Nah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna draft Jalen Hurts." The waste of draft cap. Even let's take it a step further because the Falcons were in front of the Cowboys. I think it was at 17, and CD Lamb was there, chilling, hanging out, and the Falcons appeared to be open for business. And instead of trading that second round pick and getting an elite receiver, High Roseman said, "No, this is a deep draft, and all these picks are valuable. We need to rebuild." And then he wasted on Jalen Hurts, and then he's gonna draft a quarterback this year at 6. I have never seen a man fumble the bag so much and still Jeffrey Lurie wouldn't fire that man if he walked in the office with his hands covered in blood. I don't understand it. Like if he drafts a court, if he walks into Howie Roseman's office and it says, "You know what? I want Justin Fields." That's amazing, Howie. Get the hell out and don't come back. Your car
My
don't work.
question is, if you fire your GM, who can you get that's better?
That's what you would have to do. Like we're at the point, like the fan base hates Howie so much, it doesn't matter.
But the fan bases aren't making decisions, and Howie is.
We should, because this is a very easy draft. It's Devontae Smith or Jamar. Like it's like Jamar, Devontae, and if both of them are gone, you trade back a couple spaces with Carolina if they want a quarterback. You get the Pitts from Florida, or you even draft Jalen Waddle. Like those are the only 4 picks. Or
why wouldn't you take Jalen Waddle at 6 then?
Oh, because that's not a good value. Like if the board falls and there's a quarterback that Carolina wants, right? Like say Trey Lance is there, or is it maybe Wilson from BYU. Carolina calls it, "Hey, jump back 2 spots. We'll throw in a 3rd." You take that because if you have the same draft grade for like Pitts, Smith, and Waddle, one of the 3 is going to be there if you jump back 2 spots. So it doesn't matter. So I'm going to get an extra pick. I'm going to get one of the guys I want, and we'll be straight. But if Jamar Chase, I swear to you, if Jamar Chase is within striking distance, like if Miami passes on Jamar Chase and Howie doesn't move heaven and earth to get Jamar Chase, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a real problem.
So my question is, then why is it that you guys drafted a receiver last year? A first round pick on a receiver last year.
I know people give Jalen Reagor a hard time because Justin Jefferson had such a spectacular season, but I'm not going to do that to Jalen because it's only year 2 and he hurt his thumb in the 2nd week. Like we don't know what Jalen Reagor is. It seemed like at the end of the year, he and Hurts kind of had some sort of chemistry going on. I'm going to cut him some slack because Justin Jefferson was just insane. Could the Eagles have picked Justin Jefferson? Sure. Did the Vikings make fun of the Eagles on live TV after they didn't pick Jefferson? Sure. We're going to let that slide, though, because we don't know what Reagor is, so I'm going to cut him some slack. But if Jamar Chase gets past 3 to the Dolphins and somehow Philadelphia does not walk away with him, it's like it's going to be a real problem.
Right. So what I think is probably going to happen is that you guys are going to take a defensive player right there at 6.
I can live with that. Like if you have the same draft grade for Surtain, not Waddle, Pitts, Smith, if you have the same draft grade on those 3, and I mean, he's going to be there at 10, right? Like as long as he doesn't get to Dallas.
I don't think they're going to make any trades. I think they're just going to go defensive player at 6, best defensive player on board, probably.
I'll take that. If they draft a corner at 6, I won't be upset.
That's usually how it works out. We think they're going to go one way, maybe make some trades, and they end up just taking a defensive player, and then you're like, what? And then that defensive player turns out to be really good, and you're like, I knew about him. Good. Kyle Senra was good.
I know this team doesn't invest on the defensive side of the ball with high draft picks unless it's a defensive end. Or a defensive tackle, like a lineman. They'll do. That's their history. But who knows, man?
But who knows? Time to break some friends. Corner sitting there at 6, you take it, right?
Absolutely, because you got to face CD Lamb and Scary Terry twice a year.
That's all I'm saying.
Shout out, Kyle. What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining us. All right, let's move on. I'm sorry. This took a lot longer than I thought, but I'm just so angry at the Eagles right now. I just had to say something about it. So let's talk about Draymond Green because he has had quite a week. After playing the Cavs, Green went on a rant about how teams get to treat players poorly without public scrutiny compared to the other side of the coin, like a a player demanding a trade and getting a lot of getting firestorms from the media. Does Draymond have a point? Do teams get away with treating players like cattle?
Oh yeah, it's unfortunate double standards, right? And it's crazy when you think about it, right? Like he had some points. Like a team thinks about, like the Cavs per se. They want to trade Andre Drummond, but they got to shop him, right? They don't want to mess up his trade value, so that they just decide not to play him. And no one ever looks at that like he's, no one ever looks at that and says, oh, that's a bad organization. That's a bad GM. That's a bad coach. They just go along with it. All right. I say Andre Drummond demands a trade. He says, hey, I don't want to play for the Cavaliers anymore. He decides he's not going to play. Right. Say they don't want to trade him. He decides he wants to trade. He decides he's not going to play until he gets a trade. Now they're crucifying him, saying he's the villain, saying he's a distraction. He's a locker room cancer. You see how the double standards work? It's crazy. I think Draymond Green has an excellent point. You think about it. Like these organizations just treat these players unfairly. Like they're just assets. And these are real people too. They make home in these communities, and they most of the time and a lot of times they serve back to these communities. So I just think there just should be a little bit level of more respect and communication between organizations and players, and on the flip side with players and organizations too. So
yes, I have an overarching theory about stuff like this because this isn't unique to the NBA. It's in all sports, and it's how the public capes for billionaires while millionaires are trying to make their money, right? Like you see it in football, you see it happening with Dak. Like, why doesn't Dak take a discount? It's not Dak's job to take a discount. He here to make this money just like Jerry. And the same thing applies to Andre Drummond and everything that Draymond said. I think, and this is, to me, it's kind of related. I think this is the power of LeBron and LeBron's legacy of giving power back to the players, because for far too long, like, players have been treated like cattle, like you said. Andre Drummond, if the roles were reversed and he said, hey, I don't want to play with you guys, this team sucks, get me out of here, he's going to get fined. He's going to get crucified on ESPN and all other sports networks. It's just, I don't understand how people, again, like, you're just caping for a billionaire. Why? For who?
Why?
For
right.
What?
Right. Like the league knows that it would be nothing without the players. Organizations do win championships, but it's the players. They're the ones who make or break it at the end of the day. There should just be a little bit more respect. A little more respect and communication.
Kyle and G-Man are in the chat. They absolutely agree. I never understand why people South owners. Me either, G-Man.
Man, me either. Like, you do realize the owners, they're just trying to save as much money as possible.
Yeah, and they're trying to make as much money as possible.
Yeah. Like, players just trying to play and make the bread. Like you and I, do you not ask for a raise every year?
If you don't, you need to. Like, it's again, like, this goes back to LeBron. And I mean, granted, he's LeBron, and I think it's something that we can learn too. Like, when you have leverage over your employer, you use it 100% of the time, because when the roles are reversed, they will definitely be like, hey, we need you to take a pay cut. Like, the books are looking funny. Either you're gone or you can take a pay cut. Draymond's right. I feel like people aren't listening to the message because he's the wrong messenger, whatever that means, but he's absolutely right. Players get treated like cattle. But if they want to change that, then they need to collectively bargain that. Like when when it's time to do it again. Thank you. When the CBA, it's time to do it, then players need to leverage this, and they need to be willing to sit out for it. And I think that's the issue.
Like, demand it at the table. Like, there has to just be, they don't have to, obviously, as an organization, they still got to make decisions what's best for them. And you're not asking to know all the blueprints. You're just asking for a little bit more respect and communication when making decisions that impact people's lives.
Correct.
You hear stories about, like, players find out, like, gas stations and stuff like that. It's like, nah, like, what if there was just a more open communication? Someone calls and say, hey, we in the organization are deciding to go this direction. We don't see you in this future. I don't know how to make the conversation with these millionaire players, so I'm not going make it up. But I'm just saying.
Another thing for me is so he's warming up. Someone walks up to him, "Hey man, we trying to trade you. We need you to go change back to your street clothes and go sit on the bench." Like no one made this decision before he suited up to go get on the floor. I think that's
Yeah,
the most
come on,
embarrassing
bro.
thing. Where's management? Who's your man's? Who is your
Yeah.
boss? But you know what?
Now,
That's
what if he decides he's still gonna go out and play that night? Now he had cancer. Now he,
right.
don't
But you
make
know
no
what?
sense.
That's a Dan Gilbert run team, and that's stuff that happens on Dan Gilbert teams.
You're not lying there, brother.
We're going to stick to the NBA. This story, I think, might be the most interesting of the week. So let's talk about the Timberwolves. They dismissed Ryan Saunders Sunday night and then immediately hired the Raptors assistant coach Chris Finch for their new head coach. Honestly, it stinks of foul play. Instead of waiting into the offseason to hire their guy, they jumped the gun and just did it now. Are the Timberwolves smart for doing this, or should the league step in?
It's hard for me to say that they're smart. I mean, well, first off, they're kind of shiesty for it. They kind of shiesty for it. Didn't they had just finished the game earlier that night, and Mans got fired like that same night. Come on, man. Y'all knew y'all was gonna fire that man during the game if y'all gonna come to this type of decision. So it's like, come on. So I think something was plotting in the background, which makes me think, some shiesty play going on because, maybe, maybe it seems that no one knew, not even Karl Anthony Towns knew. So they were clearly making this decision behind the scenes with, the organizational thoughts POV at mind. So they weren't keeping a lot of people, in the loop. So it's hard what can you tell the NBA to step in and do, right? What can they really do?
I think it warrants an investigation at least, but this is grade A dirty macking if I've ever seen it. Like the Wolves walked into the movie theater, gave Saunders the "I need to work on me" speech, and then walked across the street and had dinner with their new girl. Like this is so.
It's like wow, you was really plotting. Like you was plotting. Like, oh wow.
Like you couldn't wait. The All-Star game is a week away. If you would have done this during All-Star week,
just to announce it, like parted ways. They said, "Nah, you out of here. Like you out of here."
I have no problem with them firing him. He's 7.
Yeah, because let's be honest. Timberwolves, they not hot right now. I ain't trying, they not hot right now. They had some injuries. They've been hit by COVID. D'Angelo hurt right now, but they're not too hot right now. So we not gonna act like this is a surprise fire. They were like dead last in the league, but like you fire a man, like as he's getting on the plane, they was like, hey, big fella. I don't think you got G1 security clearance for this flight, brother. You might want to check your ticket again, brother. They got you on a flight going home.
they Teddy Bridgewatered that man. They caught him at the bus and was like, "You can't get on. What you doing?"
Yeah, they was hey, brother. This way ain't going your way,
It's funny because SB Nation, do you watch their beef videos? Like they do videos about beef history and like beefs between different athletes and so they dropped a video on Sunday. The timing is perfect about the history between Kevin Garnett and the Wolves owner. What's this man's name? Glenn Taylor, and pretty much how much the video is essentially saying how much of a shyster Taylor is and how dirty he did KG. And now you talk about divine intervention and perfect timing. Like as soon as that drops, he fires Saunders, flips Saunders' son on top of that. Like we know what flip means to the Timberwolves organization. You fire his son and do him like that. That's foul, man. It's dirty macking all the way to the top.
Kyle Sinner says, as a Raptors fan, I don't like the coaching staff getting poached mid-season, which is also a little bit chicey because that means that man was back and forth channeling.
Yeah.
He was dipping his toes in the forbidden fruit a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kyle. He kept the DMs open for the Timberwolves. But if you're him, my question is, I understand there are 30 NBA jobs, and if you have an opportunity to get one, you get one. But if they'll do flip Saunders, something like that, what they gonna do to you when they don't like you anymore?
Yeah. Look, there's a reason why. When was the last time? When was the last time the Timberwolves won a championship?
Kevin Garnett took him to the Western Conference Finals, and that's it.
Maybe there's a reason for it.
Maybe there's a reason.
Karma's a thing, man. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, did you watch the Anthony Edwards dunk the other night?
Oh man, that thing was three different types of crazy nasty, yo. How do you come up from that? Like what like you get dunked on like that? How can you not get up and just shake your head? Well, first off, it was me. I'm coming up, I'm blaming somebody else. I'm making it seem like that shouldn't have ever happened on me. Like, set the pick and roll. What are you doing? Help. You got to blame somebody else. So that way on the announcer table, they're talking about, oh, so that's why he's telling, oh, buddy, you got to come over and help. Then we get back to the bench. I'm over here talking about, hey, man, look, he got me. That's all you got to say. Like, he got me. Boy, let me tell you something. He put his foot all up in the butt on that one, man.
So when the guy who gets dunked on gets up, he does this to signify that Edwards pushed off, and that didn't happen at all. Like he got you.
Yeah, man. He was there talking about some push off. Like, nah, big fella. Man, look, the dunk was so nasty. The scoreboard gave him 4 points.
I saw that.
Like, you ain't getting that push-off call, buddy. You better get to blaming somebody.
And the most frustrating thing about that was, like, on Twitter, like, you can tell there are two different, like, NBA fans. There's like the NBA people who love the NBA like as a culture and as a game, and then there's nerd NBA. Like, the nerds were like, well, he only has 7 points. Dog, who cares?
Wow.
You out here reciting a stat line. He out here stealing men's pride.
Like, still 7 more points in an NBA game than that man scoring.
Like, I don't want to doo-doo on analytics because I am an advanced stats kind of guy. I enjoy it, but dog, sometimes you just gotta shut up and enjoy the show.
But like KD said, who brings numbers to a basketball conversation? We talk about hoop. We talking about ball.
We talking, man. I was really disappointed at NBA Twitter that night. We should have all been out here getting these jokes and having fun. And then someone that opened the door for the nerds to come in with he only has 7 points.
That PER. That's what.
I love PER, but this is not the time and place to talk about PER.
Talking about that PER. That's what got Giannis a back-to-back MVP seasons.
So who should have won? Who should have won over Giannis?
Usage rate, minutes per score. You know, all them. They bring them. That's what made him an MVP.
All right, so this is completely unrelated, and we didn't talk about this for the show, but now I'm very intrigued. I'm assuming you think LeBron should have won those back-to-back MVPs, right? It's like, is this Steve Nash and Kobe all over again?
I think Harden maybe should have won one. Last year should have been bronze for sure. But
so Giannis doesn't deserve any of them.
I mean, maybe probably. I mean, I would say the one where I thought maybe James Harden maybe should have won it 2 years ago. I understood the case for Giannis, but last year I was like, nah, that one's definitely bronze.
Are you still saying LeBron's the MVP this year, even though Joel Embiid is the better player?
Hey, man, Joel Embiid's a beast. He's an animal, man.
Joel Embiid is the MVP.
I don't know. I'm still going with LeBron, but I'm going to be honest with you. Joel Embiid's case is getting better and better.
Yeah, come on over. The water is fine, and it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Come on over, man.
Oh, that brother can ball.
We over here living.
How many points do you think Steph Curry going to get for MVP?
No. See, the Steph hive, like, I'm a Steph fan, but the Steph hive is so annoying. Like, we get it. He's the best shooter ever. Like, every time he shoots from logo, like, the Steph hive is like, look at Steph. Why isn't no one talking about Steph? Dog, we get it. He's just not there this year.
Well, the Warriors just aren't there.
I mean, like, I feel like when we talk about MVP, it's the best player on the best team or one of the best teams, right? Like, that's what it really is, because the most valuable player. Like, that's
well,
really
I mean, Westbrook won. His team wasn't the best. He was averaging a triple-double.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but that's historic, though. Like, no one's done that. Oh, Kyle, here it is. Kyle's a Raptors fan. It was fun to watch the Raptors win that game this weekend.
Yo, the Raptors have been hot. The Raptors have been hot. Like, they started off real bad, right? They started off with 2 wins and like 6-7 losses, maybe something like that. They hot now.
Kyle, I hear you, my man, but I promise you on everything I own, No one's gonna talk about that win. We here to talk about that dunk.
No,
Okay.
well, no, the Raptors and the Sixers play tonight.
Yeah, well, tonight I think Luka's on TV tonight, baby. I'm hyped. Luka's had a week off because of the snowstorm in Texas. They won last night against Memphis. They're on TV tonight. I think it's against Boston. So I love Luka and Jason Tatum because Luka's better. But
I need to. I'm keeping a keen eye on Luka Doncic.
hey, come on over here. Come on over here to Dallas, man. We over here living in Dallas.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm waiting on a certain transaction to go through.
Care to tell? You want to say that for next week?
I gotta save it for next week if it's successful.
Okay. What's up, Kyle? Kyle said fair. It was a painful
He
dunk to watch.
The dunk against the Toronto Raptors. Hey, man, you know what? I think we've all seen a favorite play of ours get yammed on or get blocked. Hey, Bam blocked Bron's shot. What was it, last Saturday night? And I was like, dang.
Hey, you know who ain't been dunked on? Luka. Luka know better. Luka know he can't jump over a sheet of paper. So
I'm pretty sure one of these non-televised, non-NBA TV games, he may have gotten yammed on by like a Vucevic or something. No one really talked about it because it's Vucevic.
That's true. Kyle, well, see, Kyle, you're a Raptors fan though, so like you've seen Vince Carter yam on people for a whole generation. It's okay. It's like you've seen great dunks from Vince Carter. Vince, what did I? You know he took over Kobe's detail on ESPN Plus.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, they showed a highlight on the Sunday afternoon game. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Really cool.
So we're gonna shift to tennis because this is a pretty cool story. So Naomi Osaka won the Australia Open over the weekend, including going over Serena Williams in the semifinals. Are we seeing a change of the guard or a passing of the torch going on with Naomi? She's looking like the best women's tennis player in the world at the moment. D.
Yes, she coming. Nah, she here. She's here. She is here. She is legit. She is. I mean, look. I mean, she's a young legend in the making, or a young legend that's already made. Whichever way you want to look at it. I think she's proven herself. She's won. Was it 2 majors in a row? She's a beast. And we got to recognize. It's not to say Serena still isn't the best in the world, or one if not the best in the world, but Naomi, she here. She making noise.
To quote the great Ric Flair, to be the man, whoo, you got to beat the man.
You got to beat the man.
You got to beat the man. I'm not a big tennis watcher, but I feel like someone of Serena's greatness like at that level over that course of time, it's going to take Naomi beating her more than once. But the fact that she's already beat her once tells me that like this is kind of inevitable. Like whether it's the end of this year, next year, the torch will, Serena, I feel like you're going to take this torch. I'm not giving anything. Naomi's going to have to take the torch from Serena before it's all said and done. But I think it's one of those things that's inevitable.
It's coming, right? Because she's a beast. She is the beast.
Did you watch the match?
Oh, yeah. She just comes out and handles her business.
I want to watch tennis, but the times are so like the Australian Open, like that match was at like 4 a.m, or was it like it was at some random time
to like a late NBA game, like a West Coast game.
See, I'm in my 30s. I can't stay up to watch the West. Like if the Mavericks play the 10:30, I stay up till halftime. I don't care what's going on. I got to go to sleep. I'm old.
But what if it's like a good West Coast game, like the Lakers and the Nets?
So, but was that the Saturday game this past week?
No, that was the Tuesday or Thursday game.
I did watch that game, and then I watched I watched the Clippers and Nets. That's what I'm thinking about.
Really?
Yeah, that was a good game. Patrick Beverley almost put hands on Harden first quarter. It's beautiful.
Tell him to keep that energy for Westbrook, though.
Do you have anything? If I feel like we have enough time, do you have anything?
I have something, but I'm gonna save it for next week. I'm gonna let the cards play out before I make a a discussion about it. So just be on the watch out for that.
Okay, well then if it's okay with you, I got something.
Go ahead, brother.
All right, so I want to talk about this Cam Newton confrontation with this little boy. So for those who don't know, Sunday a video surfaced of a boy calling Cam Newton ass at a 7-versus-7 tournament that Cam sponsored. Cam engaged the young man. He spoke to him politely and calmly in kind of like in a mentorship role. It was pretty cool. After the video went viral, the young man got so much hate that he had to post an apology and tag like all the major sports networks. And a lot of people are saying that this boy deserves the heat for being disrespectful and cursing at Cam. But they know like Cam Newton, he's Cam Newton. And to a degree, they're right. Like my father always said, if you're going to talk to an adult like an adult, then you need to be ready for adult consequences, right? Like I'm okay with that. And a lot of people are praising Cam for his poise, which is great because Cam gets a lot of straight bullets for no reason. I remember when he was his MVP year, there was an article in North Carolina about how he's not married to the mother of his child. Like it was like the kind of strays Cam get. Yeah, if I find it, I'll send it to you. It was
wild. What?
It was crazy. But my biggest takeaway from this, and this is for all of us, be careful who you have hanging around you. Like your boy out here videotaping you talking trash to Cam Newton and uploads it to the internet. Stop it. Like phones are for tweeting and texting. Recording stuff only gets you hemmed up. Surround yourself with people who keep the phones in the pocket. Let that be a lesson to this young man. He apologized. Move on. But surround yourself with people who will not incriminate you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of wild. Like, first off, that kid know better. He know better to be talking to someone like that, for one. Two, it's supposed to be your homeboy. You see him on some nut stuff, on some crazy stuff. Why are you recording it? Like, what type of homie is you? Like, what is your intent? What is your purposes for this? Why not tell your homeboy, yo, tighten up real quick? You know what I'm saying?
Also, the coach, whoever he was, hey, that's Cam Newton, dog. He's paying for all this. And another thing, before Kyle, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Bill O'Brien or Jack used to be, but I'll have to find it. If you follow me on Twitter, MadAds14, I'll find it and I'll tweet it tonight. But dang. Oh, yeah. So about the boy talking trash, like, God bless Cam. Because if I were him, I'd say, get this kid some pads. Let's do an Oklahoma drill. Let me knock his lights out one or two times, and then that'll end all this he's ass talk. But
which is crazy. I'm like, you really gonna sit here and talk to like this behemoth of a man, pause, and really just say like he's smashed? Like, dude, are you serious?
But I think that comes from kids like, oh, he's an adult, he can't hit me.
Yeah,
like, what's he gonna do to me?
Then once Cam processes, like, yo, I'm talking to a kid, he's gotta be like, I can't even really like take this little joke. It's just like I gotta mentor him. Like, come on, dog. Like, what is you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Maybe I think that was maybe why another reason. He was just like, why are you doing this? Like, why of all days are you doing this?
Cam should have roasted him. Like, Cam should have brought everyone around and just roasted that boy till he went home and cried. But
I mean, he could have.
And he was very mature.
Yeah, some people might say he should have exactly did that, but then it's just like, okay, well then, what does the kid learn other than maybe some resentment? So
he just learns violence. We don't want that.
Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you acting like this, man?
That's true. Let that be a lesson to all of us. Mentor the youth because they have a lot going on with the Twitter and the Instagram and the Snapchat.
It's a lot. It's a lot for everyone.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what I don't really want to be a kid growing up in these days, man. Like, everyone's so angry. Everyone wants to cancel you. You make one mistake, they want to ruin your life forever. Come on, man.
I don't want to be an adult in this age. Like, I just want to retire.
Hey, why you think I'm on them Doge coins, them Dodge coins, and let Bitcoin get down some? I'm gonna buy some more of that. I'm hitting these stocks. One of these home run retirement plans got to hit. Or maybe I might put a crazy bet in, a crazy parlay.
Have you done any parlays lately? How's that going?
I've been I had to leave that. I had to leave that alone for a little bit after a couple of bad days of parlays. And I was like, I don't see how people do this, man. So
it's a drug, man. It's a drug. That's why I don't even take the first hit. Keep it away from me.
But you lose, and I'm not a loser, so I'm sitting here like, man, what's going on, man? Like, how can I be so bad at predicting basic games? There's only a 50% chance of being right.
That's true. Maybe
how am I this bad?
Maybe I'll dip my toe in the water once the Mavericks are pushing for the 8th seed. They're pushing for the 8th seed. No, I'll take that back. When the Mavericks are pushing for the 5th seed, because it's coming. A Luka run is on the way.
You think so?
Yeah, it has to be, man.
Well, I'm gonna need that.
It has to be.
If I pull off this heist, I'm gonna need that.
More on that next week. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us for episode 3 of Speak On It. D, where can the people find you?
You already know you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch at LosDemix. It's LOSDEEMIX, because you already know when you see this Nas fade, it can only be one brother, the good brother, LosDemix. Hey, peace and love, people.
Hey, let's say goodbye to the people.
Peace out. Much love. Peace.